practical thoughts heard, where we think so you don't have to. And now, your robot overlords.
And welcome back. We are now on to episode 2 of our little nerdgasm here.
Our great journey.
So today we wanted to talk about
The Orville.
Yes, the Orville, one of the better shows that's on TV right now, I think.
Otherwise known as the real new Star Trek.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, it's it's great. I love that show.
It has been great. Every episode so far has been pretty good with a few knockout home runs.
I mean, for those of you who haven't seen it, I would wager to say, like, So let's back up. It's a Seth MacFarlane show, right? And so anybody who's watched Family Guy or American Dad or 1,000 Ways to Die in the West, Seth MacFarlane is way into the over-to-the-top comedy. I mean, the Ted movies. And I was worried. When this show came out, I was worried that it was going to be that, but in space.
Yeah, you totally wouldn't expect a serious space Star Trek series from Seth MacFarlane.
No.
Until now.
Yeah. And so what we've got now is this really heartwarming... I mean, it's essentially like if you took Star Trek, it handles some of those same serious themes. It's got some really good, lovable characters, and it has some funny, but the funny doesn't outstretch the characterization and the realness of the show. Right.
The jokes are a little more realistic, and I like how some of the endings are kind of bittersweet. Like, not like that Star Trek, everything ends on a good note. Like, some of these end, and you still feel bad about the ending because they don't go the way you hoped it would. Like, It didn't take the happy ending.
Right, yeah. So they're pretty real with it. Not only with the application of the comedy, but also like, the characters don't always end up in the best spot, or there's something ominous. Like at that, I mean, not to drop too many spoilers, but at the end of the Krill episode, it was, and by the way, the makeup job on that episode was fucking fantastic.
It was great. It was great.
But at the end of that episode, you're left with this ominous feeling like, oh shit,
Yeah, it's like, well, you saved their lives, but they're still going to come and kill you.
Yeah, it was awesome. But in general, every single episode of the show that I've watched has left me, I mean, it makes you think, it handles social, I mean, like Star Trek always has handled social issues, right? And you may not even agree with their stance on it, right?
Well, until the recent STD.
I haven't seen the latest episode, so...
Well, they called it Star Trek Discovery, which is short STD.
Oh,
I don't
that's
think,
what you meant.
I don't think they've thought that one through yet.
I guess I haven't caught it.
Good. It doesn't go away.
But no, see, I haven't watched Discovery yet, and that, okay, so that was kind of a personal thing for me to not watch that, because like I was trying to watch it after the first episode came out, and I was like, wait, this is a pay streaming service, man? Screw you guys, I'm not gonna watch it.
Right. The Orville knocks Star Trek Discovery out of this galaxy. It's nowhere close on the same level of excellence. Just the Orville is just amazing. Like Episode 3 and 4, the ones with the two dads and their child.
Oh yeah. They touched on a lot of things there about not only social issues about how you deal with what parents want versus what the children should decide versus how you deal with other cultures, right? What can one culture impress upon another, and like how much of your own views can you really impress upon someone else? It's a lot of touchy subjects there, and they don't end it on everything got resolved way.
Yes, I did not like and that's good because I was like, this is how it should end. But then it's like their ending, and I was like, damn it.
But it was real.
But it was real, and it made sense.
Yeah, so I recommend the show to everyone I talk to about it, and just give it 4 or 5 episodes before you make a judgment. But once you get into it, I mean, if you like sci-fi stories where it's really more about the people than about, I mean, the technology is very Star Trek-esque, and luckily they actually don't have transporters. They have to actually get around in shuttles.
Yet,
But that's cool. Actually, it adds an element to the show, an element narratively to keep them from being able to just immediately extract people from danger.
Yep.
So, but the show really is about the people and about the issues of the people.
It is. They usually all their shows so far have been focusing on the characters, which is I like that. The character interactions is what made Star Trek great, and that's what you're getting here.
Absolutely. So, one of the things I wanted to do also before we jump ship over to gaming, over to Dungeons and Dragons, was talk about and hopefully get some feedback from anyone who's got their ears on this thing. We're wanting to do some Twitch gaming, some streaming. And we talked about doing some tabletop games and maybe some video games. Like, I've got a couple of video games. I'd like to just sit around, talk shit, and yell and scream and drink beer. And
Well, yeah, that you got to stream. You got to include a couple things: alcohol and gaming.
Yes, exactly. So stay tuned for that. Hit us up on Facebook or on my Twitter feed or whatever you want to let us know. Hell, just recommend a game. Say, hey, it'd be cool if you guys played Candyland, whatever.
Play Hello Kitty online.
Or, like, I have a system that plays NES, Super NES, and Sega Genesis games. So any of those things you'd like to see, us fuck around with and try to make our way through, go for it. Also, Xbox 360.
And I've got my computer, which can probably play just about anything.
Yeah.
Short of Star Citizen, but that'll probably never come out.
It's going to be an alpha till we're dead.
Yeah, it's Half-Life 3 levels.
Is there even going to be a Half-Life 3?
Maybe with VR.
Oh, man. Okay, so jumping over to role-playing, and I have to DM this weekend, so there's that. So instead of reading on the storyline that I'm actually DMing, I have been face first in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, which just came out on the 10th in stores to get an advance copy. I can't remember what the real release date is. I think the 17th, maybe. But it came out on the 10th for those stores that I think Wizards of the Coast has these different tiers of outlets. And anyway, so our local game store, yay, was one of those advanced stores, and I already got my copy.
It looks like it's got a lot of fun stuff in it.
It's phenomenal. So some things are like resurgence, right? So, well, when you first open the book, the first whole section of it is new character things, and they consolidate some stuff. Like, they take the swashbuckler rogue archetype from the Sword Coast Adventures and the Storm Sorcerer, right? But then they throw in a ton of other options. I mean, there's an option for an Inquisitor's rogue where you can be more like a Sherlock Holmes. There's an option for bards to be very shadowy and very roguey, and they've got a lot of really cool subclasses. But that's just the first section, right? So moving on from there, I mean, it includes a whole new slew of DM tools for world building and new things for characters to build their background. So, like, if you're stuck, right? If you're stuck creating your character and you're like, man, okay, I know I want him to have the sailor background, but I can't get a feel for why he would do that or why he would become, a ranger or whatever. So there's tables in there to help you do that.
That's good, because the main rule book for 5th edition always kind of left the backstory a little blank on my character's motivations, and I kind of would have to come up with them on the fly or figure it out.
Up to you, yeah.
Left it up to me. I kind of like this a little more. Kind of allows me to focus.
Or at least gives you some jumping off points to build. Like, you can look at one of their examples and be like, oh yeah, but what if his dad was this crazy merchant? And blah, blah. It gives you more ideas and things to run with. Or just random tables to roll on if you just want to build in.
Just completely randomize your character.
Exactly.
Which are the best kind, because you never know what you'll get.
Also, names. It gives you a list of elven names, dwarven names, every race in the game. Plus, from a human perspective, you get names that are based in real-world culture. So Japanese names, Arabic names, English names, Nordic, things like that. From real-world human culture so that you can then port that over into your character and give him some more life and feel and,
Giving the
background.
players more options is always a good thing.
Yes, exactly. And giving the DMs a lot of options. So there's things in there they brought back from old school 1st edition Dungeon Master's Guide. They brought back the random items tables for major and minor items, in case you want to use those to build like a treasure hoard for bad guys or whatever. And they also brought back the random encounters table for different areas. So if you want to build encounters, they not only gave you the tables to do it, but then they also gave you tips for building encounters that build on what's in the Dungeon Master's Guide about player strength versus challenge ratings. Now, on both the Dungeon Master's Guide and in Xanathar's Guide, there's a lot of like thinking involved. There's a lot of mathematics and maybe, figuring out the strength of the party and things like that. But they also included quick tables to say if you've got character of this level would deal with this many of these strength monsters. One of these, two of these, or four of these would be equal to 1/3 level character, let's say, or whatever.
So they kind of make it on the fly, so you can come up with something quickly.
So you can not only plan major encounters or the ones that are planned, but also if something random pops up and you have to wing it because invariably players do.
Most players
whack things.
always go off of what the DM wants.
Yes, God damn you all. No, but like it does, and it lets you run on the fly and handle those encounters based on level and based on strength, so that you don't TPK on a random encounter. Like, that's the worst thing. Like, you've taken all this time, built this elaborate storyline, and then a random encounter occurs and wipes your party. You're like, well, fuck.
But that's what we call a mass res.
Something has to happen. Please, somebody, live. That's when you start fudging die rolls behind the screen, right?
Oh, don't pull a Jimbo campaign.
Oh, okay. No, plot armor is a whole different story. Tyler. Oh, God. I hope you're listening, fuckface.
Tyler definitely needs to understand that DMs usually pull punches for him a lot because he does some pretty stupid stuff.
But we love you. Ish. But yeah, so I'm really loving the guide. So on top of that, they also touch on common magical items, things that so like if you look in the Dungeon Master's Guide, it touches on big tables of uncommon, rare, very rare, legendary items, but it doesn't touch on common magical items, things that maybe your wizard who's making his first magical item would make. It's not. They don't give you these big mechanical boons, right? They don't give you these +3 to your attack or anything like that.
Right, it's just like an undestroyable arrow.
Right, or one of the examples that was even on one of the videos that Chris Perkins did for D&D Beyond was the Cloak of Billowing,
which I want.
Yeah, you just want to make an entrance. You have your cloak of it billows on command. It makes you look cool. Things that add, and I love it because it adds flavor and narrative elements and things you can build on to add the role play element to the D&D game, which I think, from what I've seen in a lot of campaigns that I've played in, it tends to fall on one side or the other. You either get those heavy RP campaigns where you're never in combat, or those heavy combat where RP means nothing.
RP means nothing. It's just go fight, kill. Go fight, kill.
Yeah, and we don't want that, right? We want both, right? We want to have that element of danger where, oh my God, are we going to die here if we wake that thing? But also we want to be able to have memorable NPCs that we deal with, and maybe even, pick up a nemesis at first level that we don't see again till 9th level, and oh shit, there he is.
I remember a D&D campaign I played in where I had a nemesis. I stole his family's bow. He was a rogue assassin. I stole his bow, and I think it was like from level 5 all the way up to level 17. He kept trying to get it back, and we kept defeating him. We just started calling him Cobra Commander. The DM wanted us to call him some elaborate name, but I'm like, nope, Cobra Commander.
Cobra Commander. And once a nickname sticks, it lasts forever. The current game you guys are in, there's a goblin named Heinz because he was 57th in line for treasure, and his name is now Heinz.
Heinz 57.
But so the book gives you a lot of those type of encounter building, and when you're building your background, actually there's ways to actually get enemies and things that other role-playing systems have picked up on, and D&D is finally incorporating it. Another cool thing they do is elaborate on downtime activities. And in that chapter, one of the coolest things I thought is how they elaborate on what you can do with tool proficiencies. Because they've always had, from the beginning of 5th ed, yes, you can be proficient with, carpenter's tools or with alchemist tools, but they never really give you an idea of what all you can do with that and what those roles might look like and how much time it takes to make that shit. So they finally address all that and what complications can arise when you do it, and if you have a nemesis or an enemy that's kind of after you, how they can cause shit while you're trying to sell a magical item to some other merchant. Like, it can get really cool and intriguey, and make downtime activity a real part of play.
That sounds all fun.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with it, and with the way that whole thing flowed, and there's a lot of creativity and time that went into this book. I mean, some of the stuff came from Unearthed Arcana episodes and is reminiscent of the old Unearthed Arcana book from First Ed, but they did a fantastic job with it. And one of the things they also let you do, so, you know, D&D has had Adventurers League for some time, right? Where they, it's league play. You can carry your character from one adventure to the other because they're very episodic. Well, they tell you how to build your own homebrew framework for that. If case, it's too much for one DM to run this long, ongoing campaign, let's say. But what if you split it up? Write a bunch of adventures that are episodic, and maybe a 4-hour or 6-hour in nature. And then, like, okay, so-and-so is going to DM this adventure, and then you can get a bigger group of players. It doesn't matter who shows up or who doesn't, as long as you have the minimum amount, and everyone's at the right level. So you can build, like, it's like a build-your-own Adventurers League guide kind of thing, which is cool.
That's cool. I can see game stores using that.
I can definitely see game stores using that, or any community where, maybe they're, I don't know, like me, and tired of some of the restrictions from AL. Or they just want to play in their own world, right? And now you can do it. Or you could always do it, but now there's guidelines for helping you build that structure. And I think that's pretty badass.
That's pretty cool.
So, and it's not a big book. Like, when I got it, I was a little, surprised and shocked at its size.
It doesn't look very big, but it's got a lot of good information in it.
Oh, and this is, by the way, you're not looking at it on here, but this cover is the generic cover, right? They also have a commemorative cover that feels cool. It's got a whole different artwork, whole different spine art. I really love the artwork on the back, so I might actually buy me a second copy of that just to sit on the shelf and actually use this one, because that other one's a limited print. It's a limited run, so I think I might get it just to have it because it's cool.
Always got to get our collectibles.
Yeah, it's the reason why I have a big Voltron sitting there. But all right, well, I mean, that's it for me. Do you have anything you want to cover before we wrap this one up?
No, I don't got much to cover.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and sign out of here. And as always, you can reach us on our Facebook at Tactical Thoughts Hurt, or on my Twitter feed is at JamesC137. Give us comments, shoot us, hey, you guys rock, or hey, you guys really suck, or hey, why don't you talk about this, or whatever. So if you got game ideas, we're going to be Twitch streaming as soon as we can get it all set up. So you guys rock on and have a good one.
We'll see you next time.